report. Tammy Hallway, will you please stand and give the board their oaths?
I could have Mr. Nelson or Mr. Allen, please me. Y'all want to come where Mr. Wiggins is, I'll offer you to stand back together. Connie, you get your Bible. You're going to take a Bible with you. I think you're the prettiest one. She's standing. All right. If you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right, please. And if you'll say I, when I tell you to say I and your name, and then I'll say your oath, and then you can say and respond back to me. I. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, so help you God? I do. Now say I and in your name.
I, Keith Eller.
I, Connie Moore. Do you solemnly swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God. I do. Say I and in your name.
I, Keith Eller.
I, Connie Moore. Do you swear by yourself or any other person that you neither have given nor will you give to any person whatsoever any gratuity, fee, gift, or reward in consideration of your election or appointment to the office of County Commissioner for the County of Graham, nor will you sell or offer to sell your interest in said office, that you will also solemnly swear that you do not directly or indirectly hold any other lucrative office in said state, and that you do further swear that you will execute the office of County Commissioner for the County of Graham without prejudice, favor, affection, or partiality, to the best of your skill and ability, so help you God. Congratulations. All right, thank you.
The next order of business is the election of the chair. Once the chair is elected, they will proceed with the rest of the agenda.
Second invite? All right. Congratulations, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Oh, Vice Chair. Oh, you're supposed to take over.
Yes, moving around.
I make a motion that Keith Eller be vice chair.
Okay. And, I'm sorry.
All in favor, all in favor?
Done? Just not for that, that's fine. I'm just something new. You're taking that
And
copy.
that's your copy. Yeah.
Okay.
She did a copy. And five. Will you take it? With number five, we'll proceed with number five.
Approval of bonds. Okay, number 5 on the agenda is the approval of bonds for the sheriff and the register of deeds. Is there a motion? Motion by Jacob, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we will proceed to appoint the clerk to the Board of County Commissioners now.
What did you say about my?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All in Elect Kim Chris to be the clerk of the Board of Grant County Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, our next issue is to appoint an attorney for the county. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Commissioner McNeil, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second. Wiggins and Commissioner Cody, all in favor? I apologize, I didn't know this before you got in there. Okay, we are adjourned until 2 o'clock.
Can you come back?
Select meeting, BCB 7 p.m. to order. And ask if there are any changes to the agenda.
Madam Chair, bringing to the board, we have Wanda Austin from NCDOT here to talk just for a few minutes about the crossing at Sequoia Valley, Sequoia Gap. And I think we could have her go first and have Jason and then she can get on later.
Any other changes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda, please? Okay. All in favor? Okay, all right, conflict of interest here, members of the County Board of Commissioners are advised hereby of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of such conflicts, and further are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this Board of County Commissioners with respect to which there is a conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict. Okay? Ms. Austin?
You need to turn that mic on. Okay.
I think y'all heard, I think we never see you talk to you this morning, or is that thing, actually? We are at the point where we finished 25% plans, on the A section of A9 that goes through Robbinsville. And we're starting on the second section, which includes Sequoia Gap. And I will present to y'all, and y'all saw the single color option for the raw path. What we're finding as we're getting into the design, it's got some challenges to it, and so I wanted to come back to the board and just let you know some of the challenges, I get some feedback on some of the things that we see as ideas so what you have in front of you is two sets of designs that we're looking at. One of them is the single color option, which is what y'all saw after we go on the hearing maps. And then the second one is a bridge option. So on the single color option, you see some statistics on it. Obviously, it's a single span, it's 82 feet wide. It provides a right-in, right-out access to the parking area. And you can see a close-up of that on the second sheet there. There's will be a concrete median barrier that's coming down the middle of between the four lanes. And that, as a department, we put that in on this option because we just did not feel it was safe to have folks to be able to turn left into the parking lot and then having to turn, they would have to turn left out of the western end of it and go across all four lanes of traffic plus looking at the barrier to just take that left out. So we felt on the department that was not the safest option.
So with the concrete barrier, whoever is turning left will have to go on past the barrier and turn back left some further place down the road.
Yes.
How did you see that to be safer than just turning across the road there? How did the department see it?
It's
talking about site distance that you have at the actual crossing versus the site distance you can provide at that U-turn. So with both of those, options, and I know y'all got it in front of you, but you'll see those U-turn movements. One of them is off Forest Service land, close to where that kind of place that doesn't have any trees is where the power line is. So it's right at the power line. And then the other one is over where there's actually a billboard out there. There's a big area in front of the building, it's a smaller one. But that would be the other area that would be reserved on. And at each of those, we would line out that typical section to provide a left turn pocket. So what Kathy said, in the travel lane, turn left, and so those turn movements would actually get into the left turn lane and instead of in the way for the dollars to make that U-turn. Each of the options have many parking spaces. They're now angled, where now you can turn in a 90-degree and back out. Now you would go in at that angle and be able to turn around. One kind of downside that you see to this will be an island at the separating the travel lane from the parking area. You can see that on the options as well. Matter of fact, on one of the pictures, I think it's on the bridge option, you can actually see a truck pull into the parking area. Well, it's not like you can see a truck that's actually pulled in, kind of stopped for whatever reason, and then go on. So if the truck wanted to do that, they would actually pull into the parking area. They would be able to be on that side of the area. The U-turn modes would accommodate a small bus, like a small vehicle that would accommodate tractor trailers to turn around. So that might be an issue if you had a larger bus, that would be the trail or whatever. They would have to go further down to turn around and back. With the single SIM culvert option, to build this, the major drawback to that is that there would have to be an initial 3 to 5 day closure to get that first span up. And once that first arch is up, then we can do night closures to keep it moving. And the company you could build it with traffic going under. During the closures, we could still accommodate emergency vehicles through that construction zone, so there would not be able to have local traffic through there. So that's kind of the big thing that calls the department calls, is having a 3 to 5 day closure on 123. But once we got past that 5 days, it would just be 95 closures.
That's 3 to 5, 21 periods.
So I think that's kind of the major thing that causes us to fall to talk to y'all. Now, with the bridge options, with the difference you would see there, you'll actually have it here in the middle, whereas with the single span culvert, you don't have it here in the middle. You can build it in traffic. We don't foresee that we would have to have a permanent road closure for an extended period of time during construction. So that's kind of a benefit of it. But it does have the same, you start riding right out to the parking lot. So what questions do y'all have? That's kind of the, where you see something that calls y'all calls and say, we can't have that.
All your questions, most of my ideas just because the other side is just
The main difference is the closure.
you're both
wider, but you won't see that. It's just a matter of how much excavation is over.
So, no matter which one it is, it ends up being coming from Bryson City. Then we get up there, and then we turn left into the parking, if you do today.
Correct.
When, once the road is built, going towards Bryson City, will there be 2 lanes on the eastbound side? Or just
At the cracks. Yeah, there's two lanes going either way,
Okay.
yeah, just to develop both, 5 lanes. It starts to taper down pretty quick on the, eastbound side. Once you go through the parking area, that, second eastbound lane is tapered back in.
Well, I was just thinking about your comment, you said, hey, about trucks pulling over, and the reason that trucks pull over today is usually by the time they top out, string of traffic behind them,
Right.
and so they pull over and let the traffic flow.
And they shouldn't have that now. I mean, right, you know, the future doesn't have.
Yeah. How far down in the Sweetwater Valley, if you want to go to that parking lot, you have to go a mile or more to run there.
No, I didn't do the, yeah, it's roughly 600 feet to the, west loop, and then to the east side, it's looks like about 250 feet.
The only issue I would see with the closure, or the worst one, you know, is when, what time of year is it gonna happen? That would be an issue
Yeah.
as far as tourism, right?
Right now, we're looking at a winter construction period, and that's mainly, for some of the other regulations that we have to abide by, so I would, if that's what we're looking at, is a winter construction.
The school is in session, how big is the school? Taking through the front of the village.
It's all right. It's the only way to live.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it is.
And it's a single story, much more of a better option. Should not close the window, is there a advisory?
I don't know, honestly, I don't think we cross the bridge. I don't think the cost difference is, as important as some of the other aspects of it. You know, you're looking at like, you know, from an aesthetics standpoint, you know, like you know, before it's just something that we are. We have to bring, we could make it look like 2 options. You know, make it look like that, versus the 1 option. So you asked was there a difference in cost, is that right?
Yes.
So, and you haven't studied that? I haven't looked at this bridge, I'm sorry. Okay, now the bridge option includes the median and the pull-offs. Right down there. Okay, that looks like that would be additional. additional cost to me, I'm not sure.
Well, that can't have to be a cost, you can do that.
Keith? Any thoughts? Lynn?
So if we do it without closing the road down, it's the best way to do it for us. I don't see, you gotta have two arches to do it that way, instead of one. Maybe like a tunnel looking thing, that you're
Yeah,
right.
it would look like two tunnels instead of one tunnel.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
right.
You know, this is very, when she said she can make the savings, then we're kind of making it like the arch, or just, you know, just make the ceilings and bridge over. That way they don't have to close the road.
If we keep the road open, that's the way I'm looking at it.
I think that's very important to the entire county.
Any other questions about the project?
You said you start next week? I thought I was working on it out there today, at, workers like that.
Yeah, I think there is some geotechnical work, yeah, they're working on that.
What are they doing?
Looking at the geotechnical, in the rock.
Okay.
Is that the study for the road? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lonnie. All right, we will move on to the discussion on the Justice Center, and I'll recognize Jason.
Okay, so we've gone back together after, if you remember from our last meeting, we were talking about comments that you guys would have and what you wanted to provide with basically the layout, type of facility. Keep in mind that the facility is not, this is not the final design. We didn't intend on that to be initially because we want to be able to get into a company that's going to actually put that out to bid and let us work through the commissioners, even the county, as to how we want that final building, the facade, and even some of the interior finishes to look. So this is more or less the blocking, stacking, the initial study, rendering, being able to use the property, and then being able to go forward with the design that you approve, working that into a new RFP, or the RFP is to move into phase 2. So if you've got any comments or anything you want to add before we move that on, I'd like to, unless Becky has some other plans for this. Whatever you provide us from this meeting will work into getting the final presentation to whatever can work. Take your comments, everything we've worked on up until this point. Provide you SLAM collaborative here, will provide you with a final presentation probably in this room. Hopefully we'll be able to do a video conference on the big screen where they'll provide all of the inputs, finish the rendering if it doesn't change, and then you can ask any questions you may have then, and then that'll complete this phase, the contract, and then move on forward to the second phase. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'll, if it's something that you want to email me or write down, or you want me to take notes now, then it's great too. So we can get into a conversation over that. It's basically what we want to indefinitely at this point.
Jason, are there any discussion, solar panels or anything you use to cut costs for the community, cut costs on operation of the building itself?
We did discuss that as a couple of things on the green, so-called green side. We talked about solar panels, maybe something that we could incorporate actually in some of our buildings as well. Our newer buildings, like the rec building, maybe panels for the roof or something else where it can help with the power. That would probably more or less in this next phase as we work through the costs, but we did discuss that to a certain extent. That would certainly be something we want to be, with everything that's happening and us we're moving to these renewables, will probably be a big conversation in that during the architecture, design, and engineering phase.
Do you see any avenues that we might be able to get some grant monies to help
design this building and also incorporate that into that to be able to have that building, that it gets the house back to that height. I don't know that there's any specific that's to this, but that's to say, not to say that once we get into this phase two, we can certainly go into that option, is trying to look for that. Absolutely, 100% we'll do what we can. I think it will help more of getting into that phase two to be able to have something to look at. Going from my history working with grants, they want to more or less see a good number and a good structured facility as to what they're working towards. So we'll certainly investigate that as we go through.
Is there other discussion? Jacob and Becky sat down with me. I asked them to answer a bunch of questions for me, which they did. In the spirit of keeping this meeting to a reasonable amount of time. So thank you both for doing that. So you already have my
Sure. And to add that, in the meeting, I would say I feel like we'll address the majority, if not all, of your concerns in this next phase. I really do.
I think I can live with most anyone floor plans, which is a floor plan that this board agrees to. I think it brings the next time. Still a long time ago. When I told him before you go on that thing, I'm out of it. I don't need to see the beautiful front of it. I basically put a grand line. That's my thing.
I think Jacob
I'll do it with that.
shared with me that might be in the second phase where we put the design out for bid. Is that, and I have the same concern, I think everybody did. Is that right, Jacob?
That is correct. And I feel like once we start getting back the actual architecture of the building while they're working on the engineering, there's a lot of things they could be working on while we get settled on the exterior and facade. That would be something we'll certainly be passing, whether it's through video or meetings, or I just bring it to the board and say, hey, this is how you like this. And we'll have a rendering of the outside, what it's going to look like from the road. We'll have to have that early on in the process so that we can have that towards the final part. So I feel like in the design, architectural, engineering phase, we will have that. I think your concern, Commissioner Williams and Commissioner Moore, early on we'll have those addressed. I really feel like we won't be able to get real good cost numbers or material lists, or have a good idea of what it's going to take without having everything complete with their design.
Keith, you have any?
Okay, well, we'll move forward. Like I said, I'll work on looking at some exterior existing and potential for future finishes, and probably try to provide that. If not, once we get it out, to be able to work with the architecture engineer firm, making sure that we have what we need and what you guys are including. And I'll try to have some of those things. I don't know that it'll be in the next one. Obviously, we want to put together an RFP. I'll use that from what I work with SLAM to put out an RFP for architecture and design firms, and of course you'll see that before it's approved. So that'll be a little bit of a process. I can't give you a timeline on that right now because I don't know when we'll get the final presentation from SLAM. Should we do something after that? Once we reach out and get bids and quotes, provide that, and we'll decide on a firm if we're all in agreement on the cost, and then that'll move into phase two. We'll award that, move into phase two, and then hopefully from that company, we'd like to be able to provide a design bid build. It's normally what they're going with most of these larger facilities, judicial systems and structures and jails, to where whoever we get in the design phase or the bid phase, they would handle it and manage it all the way through contract, construction, turnkey, provide us. That's kind of the route we'd like to take. Where they're with us through the design, they know the building, and then they manage the contractor, and then I will work with our design team as we're building the facility for the contract. Liaison between both and the commission themselves.
I'm assuming that's the most efficient way.
I think so at this point. I think so. And that's what most of the, if I'm not mistaken, I think Hayden County managed it that way. Well, for them. I'm going to reach out and just make sure. I just want to reach out to their county manager and their people just to see if they have an enjoyable process. We don't want anything that's going to make a nightmare, obviously, for us or the county, the engineer, or even the contractor.
Any questions? Good morning. I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. One other thing, Becky asked me to provide, I think there were some questions asked about the washer and dryer connections for DPH, Department of Public Health. I provided you with some quotes. The primary, there's a statement of work in that package put together, and I had tried to get 3 quotes. I can only get 2. I discussed a lot of this. Jacob and I have sat down and talked a lot about this. Just from, I wanted to make sure we got the quotes based on what our requirements would be. His requirements would be for inspection and obviously being a quality product. And so we came up with a primary and an alternate location. And I'll be honest with you, neither one of these are really the best possible. But I quite honestly believe, and honestly, the best possible I think would be actually building a room for it. We're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. And what I mean by that is to make it efficient, to work like it's supposed to, we would need to get ahead of the plumbing, get in a room by itself, cut the floor out, put all the system in. That would be what would be ultimately the best efficient way to do it. But I feel like with the primary location that I picked, we're really close to being there. Very, very much lower cost than what it would cost to actually make a utility room or a washroom to do that. I've discussed it with Jacob. There's the facility the room we picked, as we discussed the last time, was basically there's nothing in this room. It's more of a storage room. It's not really used for custodial supplies, and it's got everything we need right in the room and the wall next to it. The plumbing is right there. We have a vent. They don't vent through. I don't feel like there'll be any draining issues at all. There's a 3-inch line in the floor according to the ASBIL plans that are right close to where it is. The biggest issue we feel is the vent through the wall going on the outside. It's not a true rock veneer. It's a fake rock veneer. That's not to say that there wouldn't be some issues, but I just want to make sure everybody is aware. I feel like we can make that finish, no problem. Probably be a little easier with this fake front than it would be actual stone, because you don't know if you knock a piece of rock out and it chips out and you can't clear it out. So I think it'd be easier for you to finish is no problem on the outside, but you're dealing with a dryer vent on the very front of the building in between the 2 entrances. Again, I don't think that's a major issue. It's not. It would be different sort of if it was the side of the town and there's people having to walk on the sidewalk by it. Usually you're either going in one side of the building or the other side. You won't really pass by it for the most part. It just needs to be kept clean. So that's the reason why we picked the primary location with all of the commercial requirements for conduit and electrical being no problem. We'll do architectural finishes to finish the facility. I think the only thing I want to put out there as a caveat is sometimes in the past, when somebody puts too many soap suds or too much soap in a washing machine, it can cause suds to back up into a floor drain or a toilet or something to that effect. Even in my laundry, I've never seen that happen in my bathroom at the laundry. So, but I just want to make sure that it's where that is a possibility if somebody would and even my machines will tell you, if you overwhelm that machine with suds, the machine won't even operate. It could put suds out and an extreme amount. So I just want to make sure everybody understands there is that potential. It not be strictly a utility room in front, usually along that line to come into the main trunk line in front of your bathroom set. Again, that would be hard to do in this building because there's lots of lines going on. So I just want to make sure that's understandable. And we can fix the floor drain if that's an issue where we're going to have a problem there. But this is, again, was brought to me as a concern for them being able to, and I'm sure you're aware, so I'll put it out there, for them to be able to come to work, then be able to take their clothes off, not have to take those possible contaminated clothes home and get it on everything else. They can just change work and then wash things in the facility. And other garments, I would assume, and some other materials like that are fabric oriented, they're able to wash and sanitize them down in the facility. So there was 2 quotes. One was all inclusive, $1,500, and then the other one he wasn't going to have a licensed electrician work on his. It was Kelly Andrews, and so he asked about Sawyer Gibney. We needed a licensed electrician, which the other one was incorporating a license for theirs. So that's the reason why the one was just split up into 2 quotes. And so I understand there might be some concern too about Becky and I are working the money part of it out with Beth. But there was some concern about getting it going as soon as possible.
Yeah, we only have till December 30th to come work and work. So it needs to be completed by that in January. And Jason felt like that we could get started if the board approves it, with doing the installation and making the changes to the building, then we can make that time.
Yeah, I think we have holidays coming up, so but I still feel like we can be really close to meeting that time.
Okay, and this will be carrying money.
Yes. This will be coming out of the health department here in Sac.
Yeah. She's got a allotted amount that they're trying. I don't want to say trying to spend. She's come up with something to try and spend. It seems like something they really need. This would help her spend a majority of the little bit that she has left. So,
Spend down on CARES money to her.
Yes.
That's a good cost. It would be helpful to get a vote on that today.
Yes.
You have the bids in front of you, $5,200. Now, on the Kelly Andrews and Sawyer's Electric, those would be added together, is that right, Jason?
yes, and I put the total at just under 5 under the word electrical. The total for both of those is $33,39. And I asked Beth to hold a little bit more money because again, we don't know, it's hard to know exactly what's going to be in the wall when we get in the wall. I told her to hold some extra money so that just in case there is something we run into, whether it's having to cut out something or might something pass, and the quotes are a little bit higher, we need to be prepared for that because you just never know what you're going to do when you open it.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept either of these bids?
I'll make a motion to accept Kelly Andrews' building assessment of $3,339.80.
Thank you. Is there a second? All in favor? Going into closed session?
Madam Chair, I think one item in,
Oh, yes.
As you recall, at the last board meeting, I gave a report that we had several $1,000s left to spend down by December 30th. At this point, the amount we have to spend is about $74,000. We have looked into different options for utilizing the money, following the board's directive to look at how we can help school children and also look at food distribution. I reached out to the school board and they identified 2 separate things They need some more telecommuting and computer equipment, however, the CDBG grant that we were awarded is going to handle part of that, most of that. They also identified that their school buses need a new radio system, which would assist them in communications in our outlying areas as they do food distribution and also homework distribution in the event that schools have to close again. I checked with the state in reference to that, and they did say that because we would be using the school buses for food distribution, and because of the remoteness of our area and the difficulty in communication via cell phone, that would be an allowable expenditure. The schools provided a quote of $40,380 to do that for the school buses. In addition, I spoke with the superintendent, and they are working toward a purchase of a food truck. The food truck itself would not be allowable. However, they said that if the county wanted to provide some funding for stocking the food truck with food and our supplies, that they would be very much appreciative of that. We talked about food distribution as the county itself. We looked at several options. We looked at how the county could stockpile food and food distribution. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized that we have systems in place in this county already called food banks and food distribution services that could provide that service. That's the business they're in, for lack of a better term, business. So we identified at least 6 nonprofit organizations who are doing food distribution, and we could use the money and distribute the funds out to those organizations earmarked for food distribution. Did look at that, some other options like hazard pay and so forth. Hazard pay applies to public safety, public health, and DSS for what the CARES Act considers essential workers, which is if they've used 50% of their time directly related to COVID. So I wanted to see what the board's desire is today so that we can go ahead and get the ball rolling as far as using the remainder of the funds. We looked at, if you went with the radio equipment, I believe a little over $30,000 to do distributions to the nonprofits. I will ask that finance be able to purchase a laptop because we've been working off of the borrowed laptop when folks had to tell him. So that would be about $1,000. It would be crazy for the board to use $1,000 for that laptop. So I just need to get your feedback and what your directives are so that we can begin to go ahead and recover the expenditures to get this money spent down by December 3rd.
In the discussion about the 6 nonprofits who are providing food for people in the county now, they have different numbers of people that they serve, and I will this afternoon try to get in touch with all of them to get kind of a number that they're serving now and possibly look at splitting the $30,000 that we have available to help them out incrementally or as to the percentage of people they serve. What are your thoughts on it? They don't serve the same number of people. We've got, oh goodness, Michelle Shipman's group, and then we've got Panther Creek Church and some small churches that are distributing food, but they certainly wouldn't have the same need as the entities that are working with 2 and 3 and more hundred people every week. We thought of that first, and that would be an easy way to do it, but if we try to help the ones who help the most people, then we would be looking at different percentages of allocating funds. So what are your thoughts on that? Thank you, Jay.
I'm listening. I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
I'm only 15 people, and Leon's got 60, Leon's money.
so, and I will get in touch with someone involved in those entities, today or tonight, one or the other. And if it's agreeable with the board, just get that, number to Becky, and, money can be distributed accordingly. All right, in putting this all in one motion, could I hear a motion that we use the $74,000 to purchase a bus radio system and to help supply some foods and some help supplies for them, sanitation supplies, and distribute $30,000 to the different nonprofit organizations who feed people, and $1,000 for a laptop. Can I hear something?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you very much. Y'all did my job much easier.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get it. So,
Thank you, Jason.
thank you, Jason. Yeah. We have to move on to the floor now, and I apologize for looking at Becky. I'd like to say I'll get better, I certainly hope. Okay, we will now go into closed session under GS 143, 318.11A, 1356, for privilege or confidential information, attorney-client privilege, contracts, and personnel.